Hello and welcome to Book Chats with Mr. Mayor. Today I'm going to talk to you about 4 new books that we got recently at the library. First one I'm going to talk to you about is called Hope and Other Punchlines by Julie Buxbaum. And this tells a story about Hope. When she was 1 year old, she was celebrating her birthday on September 11th. And having a birthday on September 11th doesn't make her that unique. But on her first birthday, there was a picture taken of her wearing a little birthday crown, holding a red balloon. And in the background was the South Tower of the World Trade Center collapsing behind her. And she has grown up kind of in the shadow of being baby Hope. She'll be recognized on the street, and people will just start breaking down and crying. But this summer, just before she turns 17 and starts her senior year of high school, she's determined to do something for herself and get out of that shadow of baby Hope. So she signs up to be a camp counselor a few towns away where nobody really knows her and nobody is going to recognize her as baby Hope. But it turns out that a student or a friend of hers that is a year younger also signs up to become a counselor as well. And Noah is kind of has some ties to September 11th as well. And he is determined to talk to Hope about that and to find out more about that picture. And as the relationship deepens, more and more secrets come out between the two. So there's a little bit of mystery, but it's mostly about that relationship between the two, Noah and Hope, as well as kind of finding out a little bit about themselves as well. If you like romance books, Somewhere Only We Know. This is about Lucky, and Lucky is kind of the biggest K-pop star on the scene, and she's just performed her hit song in Hong Kong to thousands of adoring fans. But right now she is in her fancy hotel room, and she is just dying for a hamburger. And then you've got Jack, and Jack is sneaking into the fancy hotel room because he works for a tabloid company. And he's kind of on a scoop. And they run into each other. He runs into this girl who looks kind of familiar, very cute, and he's a little bit curious. This book reminded me a lot of The Sun Is Also a Star, because the entire book takes place over one day and goes back and forth between the two main characters. A lot of romance, but also hits some kind of deeper issues as well. If you're looking for mystery or a little bit of horror, kind of Stephen King books, The Missing Season by Gillian. So Clara is the new girl in town, and she's used to that because her dad is always moving construction jobs. And she moves to Pender, a small little town in New England, and she kind of expects it to go the same way. She quickly is taken under the wing of Bree and Sage, two girls that kind of live on the outskirts and aren't afraid to cause a little trouble. And they introduce her to a guy named Kincaid, kind of this mysterious guy who comes and goes as he pleases, breezing on a skateboard. And Clara is very intrigued by Kincaid. But the thing about Pender is that kids have disappeared from this town, and some have come up dead. And the adults always have a perfectly good explanation about what's happening to these kids. But the kids have another explanation. They believe it's the work of the Mumbler, a monster man who lives out by the marshes. And they even believe it so much they leave offerings from time to time. Some of the kids say they've seen the Mumbler, but Clara doesn't quite believe that the legend is true. But she's starting to think that something isn't quite right in town, especially when another girl from school goes missing. And as the town tries to figure out an explanation for the last disappearance, Clara is starting to feel more afraid, but she doesn't know what to fear. The Mumbler or something worse, something much more real. And then the last book I'm going to talk to you about, I loved this book, called This Is Our Story. So Kate lives in the small town of Belterre, where everyone knows everyone and everybody knows everybody's business, and she's just kind of your average girl. Her mom is the administrator for one of the local district attorneys, and Kate is lucky enough to work as an intern in the courthouse for the same lawyer, helping out with odds and ends. And in the town of Belterre, all hell breaks loose one day when 5 friends head out hunting one morning, and only 4 come back alive. And these 5 boys who went hunting have been friends for ages, and whose families are among the wealthiest and most powerful in the area. And none of the boys are speaking about what really happened. And no one knows just went down in those woods, because all of the boys are maybe hiding a little something. But it's apparent once the evidence comes in that whatever it definitely was not an accident. And when the case falls on the desk of the DA that Kate works for, she can't help but become even more drawn in to figuring out who did what. One part of the story is told by Kate, but there's all kinds of interviews and court reports and text messages and an unnamed narrator that was there that night. So it's a super cool way of telling this story. And you'll be wondering who did it until the very end. I cannot recommend this one enough. Like I said, all 4 of these are at the library, so I hope you check them out.